Guess we're on.
All right.
We made it.
We did, finally.
Boom.
Thank you. Just off the plane, straight here.
You came from San Jose?
Yeah, we're in the Bay Area the last few days. We're getting the Alta program's going again and making the rounds. And first stop, had to come see you, my man.
For sure. Love it. Love it. Love it. We're just kind of talking about how, last couple weeks ago, we had 3 guys that from that original thing. Well, they weren't in that original program, but we kept that group going.
Yeah.
And Sundays, they have a full-on group training from different gyms and everything, but it all started from the Alta. You coming by?
Oh, I love it.
Us having that conversation.
I love it. I think the program does a lot of things that, I think it presents an opportunity that doesn't really exist out there. There's no real MMA classes, right? For example, prior to us working together on that, I think, you obviously have Bang Muay Thai, you have Jiu-Jitsu, strength and conditioning, but this kind of helped blend it all, right?
Yeah.
And have an actual class and a team. I'm glad you're having fun with it. And
I mean, on the side of the building it says mixed martial arts, right? It's like the roots, right, of all this stuff, right? And so, yeah, it was an opportunity because you focus, you only have so much time for certain things, right?
Yes.
So, man, when we first spoke, I was like, that sounds like a great opportunity.
I had a feeling, and Bear did too, when Bear introduced us. I had a feeling you would embrace it because of your roots. I mean, you fought, and you love jiu-jitsu. But I knew that he wants a connection to fighting again because there's nothing like it, right? And it's not, as you know, it's not all about. It's all the other benefits you get from that kind of training and being part of that kind of team. The intensity of it, I think, is part of it. But I'm glad it lives on, and we hope to come back and get going again and bring some new people in to start this whole process over and change some lives.
100%. Could you explain the Alta MMA program?
Sure. So the Alta program is a 20-week training camp that takes average everyday people. It's meant for beginners, average everyday people who want to learn the sport, or either a fan of the sport, appreciate the sport, or quite frankly, just want to do something really challenging and fun, really, really difficult. And through that 20 weeks, you're going to learn martial arts. You're going to learn how to fight. You're going to learn how to defend yourself, and you're going to be challenged at the end. If you choose to take on that challenge, which most people do, you can take a amateur fight against somebody else who is also a beginner. So it's not like you're getting thrown in to the deep end against someone who's been training for years or a veteran, right?
The right
so
way.
You get matched up with somebody else. And what we've discovered is it's a transformative experience for people. Who you are on day one, 100 training sessions later, 20 weeks later, you are a different person. I know it sounds cliche, but you've seen it. We've all seen it. You are a different person. I think you're able to attack life a little differently. You just develop a fighter mindset. And I think that can carry on with you for the rest of your life into business, relationships. It's a very positive thing. And it's also kind of, to me, it's a beautiful thing to find all this through what appears to be violence, right?
Right.
You kind of find this peace and strength. And we've seen that it just helps people throughout life just take on any other challenges, whether or not they continue to train or not. I think they're prepared better to handle things.
I mean, so many people on that original group, they continue on with jiu-jitsu, even if they don't do the MMA program, but they continue on training.
Yeah.
That's what we found.
Yeah, we really try to encourage that.
People that have gone through the program, that have actually completed the program, they don't stop after that.
Yeah, we found that most people do continue to train. I would say anywhere from 60% of people actually stick around. We've also seen a few other people go take on another challenge. Like they're the bucket listers, we call them. Like, I'm going to go run a marathon now or do a triathlon, jump out of an airplane, whatever it may be. But we're really happy that they decided to embrace our challenge. So it's something pretty unique. And I think people, and you'll understand this. Some people need a goal and they need a a very specific structure in order to really enter the sport. And, you know, in the past, it was always, hey, just come train, just come in. And, it, you know, you may never see them. But when you approach them, you go, hey, I got something for you. In 20 weeks, you'll have an amateur fight, and we're going to get you ready for it. You're going to learn martial arts. You're going to have fun, and you're going to meet a lot of really great people. Because I think that's the other thing that we've discovered is, you know, this is your new team. This is your new family, and a lot of people are looking for that, some kind of community.
Right.
That's the other thing that we really, really push and emphasize with this is we love martial arts, and it's building a community around martial arts. And also doing something, like I said earlier, I think it being really difficult and scary is good. Is good.
Getting out of your comfort zone, challenging.
Yeah.
Beyond your comfort zone, right?
Yes. We've had, over the course of the program, we've had 2 grandmothers, you know, several, a lot of middle-aged men, professionals,
where
you know,
was
lawyers,
that
doctors.
Which city?
I know I saw her fight. She was in Kalispell, Montana. Yeah, she fought out of SBG Kalispell, and I believe the other grandmother was in Australia.
Wow.
We've had our first amputee. He has one leg, Sean O'Leary, and he's over in Ireland.
Wow.
And I think over the course of the last 8 years, there's been over 10,000 people globally that have gone through the program.
10,000 people?
Yes.
Wow.
The program originated in Australia, in Sydney, and spread quickly through Australia and into New Zealand, and eventually made its way over to Europe with John Kavanagh.
Right.
So SBG Dublin is kind of our, you know, we're it's rooted in Europe, and it's growing over there. And
Conor McGregor's coach. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And it's on me to help us grow here in North America with great partners like yourself and all the legacy gyms. So we're on a mission to spread martial arts and positivity and try and change some lives.
Love it. How did it begin? Because, you know, it was like Wimps to, what was it called?
It started off as Wimp to Warrior.
Wimp to Warrior.
And there's actually a guy named Richie Cranny who moved to Australia from England and started training people. He wasn't sure how many people would respond to wanting to take on this challenge. I believe he put an ad out, and it was, hey, if you want to learn, because he just moved into town and he wanted to make some new friends and felt this would be a real easy way to start meeting people and just getting involved with the community. And he was like, hey, if you want to learn how to fight, you know, I will train you, just hit me up. He thought a couple people would hit him up, but I think it was some crazy number, like 40. He's like, oh man, I'm onto something. And what's interesting about that is that there's already gyms there.
Right. A lot of gyms.
Why aren't they going into gyms, right? Maybe it's because, I mean, and there's several good gyms, so it's not that it's not because of a lack of quality. I think it was just the type of challenge that presented. Because you go into a jiu-jitsu school, they're not, hey, I want to fight, right? They're like, well, put on a gi and maybe we'll see.
Right.
You know, you learn a little bit and we'll see where you go. Slow down with that, right? So I think it was this specific challenge, and going back to what we talked about, how it's intimidating, it's a little scary, it gets you out of your comfort zone, it's big, but you have a specific goal.
It's interesting, right? Because we're talking earlier, at the end, this is the roots of jiu-jitsu. This is how jiu-jitsu became popular, right? Because Bellator MMA was like intertwined with jiu-jitsu so much more than it is now. Like the whole sport of jiu-jitsu has grown and it's great, right? Yeah. But the whole fight element was like, it was one with jiu-jitsu.
It was one and the same, right? Like you
Murla Bustamante, all these guys fighting in Vallatudas were actually still doing the worlds and all, you know, top level like fighters, right?
I think back then they did jiu-jitsu in preparation. Like you knew you were going to fight. It was in preparation to fight. And I hear funny stories of, I got a purple belt from Alan Goes. And I know back then, you know, the other students like Pat Tenore from, you know, formerly of Ruka, now with the Tenore brand, you know, they would tell me stories of how back then they had to fight. Like you would do like a dojo storming challenge, right? Okay, you got your blue belt. Now we're going to go test it. Like, what? yeah, you're going to go fight. We're going to go fight these guys. And that was part of the roots and the history was, it was directly linked to Vale Tudo, to MMA, fighting, NHB, whatever.
Yeah.
Back then.
Even Leo Vieira. I did a podcast with Leo Vieira, and he was just telling me how we started with, Jacare, the original Kavanagh, right?
Yep.
And how he had him as a teenager, like basically, street fight in a way, like in the JoJo representing, right? Jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Yes.
Like in a real like challenge, like, okay, you're gonna defend the honor of jiu-jitsu.
Yes. Yeah, that's the responsibility that was placed on you as you started to climb the ranks. I remember being in Rio with Alan Goaz and Pat, and he was taking us on the tour. He took us to Carlson's, and we're walking like Copacabana, and he's telling us all these amazing stories about, this is where we squared off with, the other groups, and and just hearing that history of, it was all linked to combat, to fighting. And it's a different story these days, but as we've also said, it's nice to see jiu-jitsu grow and just be somewhat, on its way to being mainstream and accept. It's cool now. Let's face it, right? It's cool now, and kids jiu-jitsu is blowing up. I have so many friends that they never trained, but they're like these crazy jiu-jitsu parents now. They take their kids several times a week. Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Lifestyle, right? Way of life, of staying healthy, staying connected, staying happy.
Yes, yeah. Lifestyle is the best way to describe it, I think. A lot of us old school guys, whenever we get together, I know we talk about the good and the bad that comes with that kind of growth and this new era. But I think overall, this is what we always wanted, right? Was to have the world see what we saw, that this was just an amazing, powerful thing. And and it's coming together that way.
Yeah, yeah. So you're in charge of the U.S., growing it here in the U.S., and you were in Bellator. What's your background? How did you get involved? You're from Guam originally, right?
Yeah, I was born on Guam. Bear and I grew up together. We grew up playing basketball together on Guam, and kind of went our separate ways after high school. And I ended up going to college out here in Southern California. I went to Pepperdine University, and I was there on the volleyball team. And then I discovered jiu-jitsu, and I knew Bear was out here in Lakewood, and we just started training together whenever we could. So it was so funny. I mean, this is late 90s.
Yeah.
And we were like these mat rats that would just meet up on weekends and just drop in and take, the free intro classes at whatever academies we could go find. We were driving all around Southern California and just training, just these two jiu-jitsu geeks, which we still are to this day, and we're proud of it. But that's how it all started, was just a passion for jiu-jitsu and just being on the mats and getting as much mat time as we could. And then that eventually led me into MMA. So I actually fought in Super Brawl. I graduate here in 2001. I moved to Hawaii. MMA was there. It wasn't even legal in California at that time, right? Remember? You had to fight on the res.
Right.
So I moved to Hawaii, where I had family, and I was, we had a strong connection with Egan and Ensign through all the Guam boys. So I started training at Egan's place. Barrett Yoshida was there.
Egan and Oi, yeah.
Yes. So I'm training with those guys. Everyone that trains on the team, eventually, like we said, you got to fight, right? And
by the way, it was the first non-Brazilian world champion at Blue Belt, right? He won won the worlds. First non-Brazilian to win worlds.
You know what's crazy? Several guys from Hawaii were like, that was like the first group of foreigners, so to speak, to go to Brazil, right? Obviously BJ, but Egan, Juan, Blue, and Purple.
Purple, okay.
And then there was also Kendall Gu, I believe.
Yeah.
Juan,
yeah.
Kai Garcia, Juan. So it's definitely noteworthy. Yeah. And something I think most of the young kids in Hawaii don't know is like the first group of guys not from Brazil to have success were people from Hawaii. Yeah. So
fully representing, because back in those days there was this mystique, right? With jiu-jitsu and Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, exactly.
And you guys went down there all the way across the world.
yeah, you're not going to beat us was kind of the mentality, right? Was like, yeah, we're going to share it with you, but we're the best and it's always going to be this way. And fortunately, these guys worked hard and
they put it down.
Started a new, started to change the game, right, so to speak. So I'm in Hawaii in the scene, like great jiu-jitsu, MMA is legal there. There's events all the time. It was the place back then. All the top fighters, quite a few of them started there. Like, Vitor Belfort's first fight was in Hawaii.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was
it in Super Brawl? Yeah,
okay.
Frank Shamrock had fought there among several others. The list goes on and on.
Because those were the years of underground kind of things, right?
Yeah, a bunch of guys from the Midwest were coming through with Monty Cox, working with TJ Thompson, the promoter of Super Brawl. So, from Matt Hughes, Vitor, Shamrock, Robbie Lawler, so on and so forth. All these guys were fighting in Hawaii. So the scene was there, and I wanted to be in the scene. So
that's how you got in.
Yeah, call my uncle. He's like, hey, come, we'll figure it out. I got a job waiting tables at Duke's, so I'm waiting tables at night. I'm training all day. Pissed my parents off because I just graduated from a pretty good school, and they're like, man, what are you doing? I go, I just have to do this. Let me just pursue this passion and this dream. So I'm training all day and working at night. Get a fight in Super Brawl on short notice, and then afterwards. Shortly after, I meet the Penn family. I meet JD, BJ's older brother, who was promoting an event. I had met BJ prior. He'd been to Guam and was, it's a small community, so everyone knew each other. We see each other in passing. It was always cool. But then I met his brother, who was promoting an event called Rumble on the Rock at the time, and it was a really cool event. I mean, he was going next level with it already. He knew that, hey, I don't want to just do a little local regional show. I'm going big, and he was bringing in all the big names, and he had BJ fighting for him at the time because he was out of the UFC. And so we met, we just connected. I'm happy he saw the passion I had for it all, and he was looking for some help. He was, hey, and he offered me he gave me the chance to help him grow the promotion. Hey, I'm just trying to grow this thing, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't really pay you much, and I'm like, it's all good. Don't worry about it. I'm in. Just
like a Joe Rogan story, right?
Yeah,
with him getting involved with the UFC.
Yeah, it's like, man, say less. It's all good. I'm in. I'll find a way to make money elsewhere. I was selling T-shirts at the time with the Fuck Guy brand from Guam.
Wow.
So I'm just finding a way. I go, don't worry, I'll find a way to survive. Just I appreciate the opportunity. Just guide me, teach me, and let's go. And so that's how I got into promoting. Wow. So this is early 2000s by now. And then we started putting on some pretty big fights. Some of the more notable ones, I would say, we did a welterweight Grand Prix. It was Anderson Silva's first fight in America. So we brought him over. I think he fought that fight and shortly went on to into the UFC. But bringing Anderson over, that was a big tournament for us. It was like Anderson, Silva, Frank Trigg, Ceruto, Carlos Condit kind of broke through in that tournament.
Right. That was a breakout. Yeah,
yes,
remember that
because he beat
from New Mexico.
He beat Ceruto, and then he beat Trigg.
Was it 3 fights in one night?
We did the first round was just one fight that night, and then the semis and finals were two on the same night. Yeah. And that was like Carlos made it to the finals against Jake Shields. That was like his coming out party, so to speak. And Jake ended up winning it. But putting on events like that, like giving me that chance to like do big things early on. And I can't thank him enough, and BJ enough, and obviously promoting BJ's fights, BJ and Renzo at Aloha Stadium, BJ and Rodrigo Gracie. That was the time he had to get that rivalry with the Gracies out of the way. And so at a very early part of my career, man, I just got thrown into doing some really cool shit, and I'm like very, very lucky and fortunate because that enabled me to take on other bigger opportunities moving forward. So we went from Rumble on the Rock to Elite XC. So JD and I went and helped launch Elite XC on Showtime and on CBS. And that was, of course, like the Kimbo Slice era. But we, and Gina Carano, and it was fun and
Gina
crazy.
Carano was, man, that was I mean, that was the first female MMA fight, right? That people knew about.
Yeah. Gina Carano and Julie Kedzie was on the first broadcast. It was the first time women's MMA was on a main card and then broadcast like that. So that's something that I'm proud to have been a part of. And obviously we had Nick Diaz, among several other great fighters from that era, Robbie Lawler. Like, it was just fun. So I'm like living this dream, right? I still am today, but as I look back, I'm like, man, what am I doing here? This is so cool. I just got to keep working hard and keep learning. Yeah. And Elite XC, didn't work out. Fortunately, got an opportunity to go to StrikeForce. So I had met Scott Coker before, and we stayed in touch, and we did actually a few co-promotions with them. And he gave me a shot. So I go from Elite XC to StrikeForce, and then we get bought up by the UFC 2 years later. That ends that moment, that run. And when he got out of his non-compete with the UFC, about 2 years later, he took over Bellator, and he called me and he goes, "Hey, let's get the band back together."
Couple years of non-compete, right?
Yeah, that was part of his deal, where he had to just sit on the sideline basically, and I know he was planning, and just like he was. I knew he would be ready to go. That he by no means was done promoting, and then when he got the chance to start again, got the Bellator gig, and then we got the band back together. That was probably 2013.
2013.
Yeah, and then that's when I started working with him at Bellator.
Wow. What matches, what fights you're a part of?
A lot of fun, man. History. I still can't believe I don't know what I did to be lucky enough to be in this position. Just a jiu-jitsu dork that I got really lucky and tried not to mess up, I guess, along the way. But yeah, very, very lucky to have worked with a lot of people that I idolize for their martial arts ability, and just that's all I can say. Very, very blessed and lucky.
How was it being at the Renzo BJ?
Oh man, that was wild, because I mean the intensity, the rivalry, the bad blood was real. Obviously his history with Half is well documented. I look back at some of the footage from that, and Half, it was bad, right? Half
sure
didn't like him at all, and
it was Half student, right? Till
up until I think purple, and then he went to Novo and Yao, and the rest is history there. But it was intense because it was for several reasons. That event was monumental and historic. We were at Aloha Stadium, which is where we went from the arena, which would hold about 9,000 people, to now we're at a massive open air football stadium where the UH plays, the
University of Hawaii.
Yeah. And so that's big, just in terms of, at that time, I want to say it was probably the biggest event, outside of the UFC, it was probably the biggest event in America. Like,
I mean, it's got to be, like, if they're at the arena, right? Like the venue, everything, right? That's like bigger. That's probably maybe the biggest event happening in North America, maybe besides Pride, right?
Yeah.
At the time.
Yes, exactly. So just that aspect of the event, when you look at the storylines of BJ versus Renzo after beating Rodrigo, right? Like a few months prior.
Yeah.
So it's like all of a sudden BJ versus the Gracies. And I remember just how intense it was. The big dogs were there, man. Hickson was there. I remember seeing in the corner Hickson, who is my original jiu-jitsu, hero and idol.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, this is a big deal. You got Hickson, Hyen, like the family came out like, man, this is a big deal. We gotta beat this guy. I also remember Mike Tyson was there. Because he was there with K1.
Oh, that's right.
Because this was a co-promotion with K1. So it was in a ring, and it was a kickboxing tournament and some MMA fights, with BJ being the main event, BJ versus Renzo. And just a really, really historic moment and night for us. And from that night, just several things happened. Like, I developed a relationship with Renzo. After that, we're still really good friends to this day. And so just a lot of positive things came out from it. But I'll always remember just sitting there and watching, like, Mike Tyson walk in, sit down, and get ready to watch this fight. And I look over at the corner, and there's, all the jiu-jitsu icons, man. And so it was a very big deal. BJ got the win, which was really a win. I could tell, you know, obviously they wanted to win, but I think they knew that, I mean, he's our creation as well, right? Like if it wasn't for us, he wouldn't be, you know, this guy's really good.
He's the jiu-jitsu prodigy.
But we taught him and we got him started. So I think for them it was kind of bittersweet. I would say like, shit, we lost, but and he's rooted in he's one of us. So jiu-jitsu won that day, but I was really happy to see Half teach a seminar at BJ's like a year or two ago. So
wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Come a long way from that
wow.
From that night. So
it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. I think at the end of the day, this love for this thing called jiu-jitsu, I think, rose to the top above all the other things over the years. So
have you ever seen the Renzo Gracie Legacy movie?
Oh yeah.
There were scenes of that fight in there. I remember that.
Yeah, there's some great behind the scenes quotes too. One of my favorites, I think Renzo said something like, you know, I've been doing this since he was in his father's nutsack. That's a classic, you know. Renzo's great, right, with the one-liners. And then I remember Half, like, you know, going off like, yeah, that traitor motherfucker. And so, yeah, it just really captured what was going on at that moment. So, yeah, for me at that time, just being like I think still a blue belt, just being able to work on an event like that with all these guys. Matt Serra was there too. Now that I think about it, like, wow, this is amazing.
But BJ Penn fought Machida, right, as well?
Yeah, in Japan. I remember going out to that one.
That was a different one, but I thought it was in Hawaii.
No, he fought him in Japan for K1 again at that time.
The same, same
and
co-promotion.
I think Machida was 225 or so. He was a heavyweight at that time, and BJ just showed up like at 180 something. Let's just scrap and throw down. So
that's crazy.
Yeah,
he went the distance with the top of the food chain guy in that weight, a heavyweight guy, pretty much.
I thought he should have won. It was a close fight. I just thought the smaller guy should win. If you don't,
man, it's just nuts that's even the size difference is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember him
his skill level to be to do that.
Yeah,
man.
Which is what like this amazing art was created for, right?
Right.
You can beat a bigger guy with this. Most other forms of combat, you can't, right? You're very limited. But I remember him eating so much just to stay as heavy as he could be to try and handle that weight.
Yeah.
So clearly not his natural weight, but and I look back at the photos and stuff, and we'll still joke around to this day like how chubby he was, but he was just trying to stay heavy so he could try and compete with this guy whom was like several weight classes above him naturally. Because he even fought at 45. Like, so at the end of the day, you had a natural lightweight, featherweight who fought all the way up to heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like when you watch the legacy video of Renzo Gracie's legacy video, right? He did the same thing, right? He fought like all the UFC champs, right? And pretty much every weight division besides the heavyweight division.
Yeah. Old school, right? Like we say, it's just a different era. You know, nowadays you see some guys that'll maybe go one weight class up, but
there's an attitude.
You just don't see that anymore. There's only a handful of guys that have ever fought every weight. I want to say like Kenny Florian as well fought in like
feather lightweight, middleweight, middle heavy, or whatever it is, and then heavyweight. Yeah. So I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's enough weight categories.
How about you? How many?
I did 3: feather, light, and like middle.
Yeah, that's still.
Yeah.
The King of the Cage days.
Yeah.
I remember reading all about you back in the day, man. You were like the face of King of the Cage and really represented Albuquerque.
Yeah, New Mexico.
Yeah.
I represented jiu-jitsu, you know, and those were still the early days, right?
Yes.
So when I fought, I represented jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I'll always remember that. You know, we'd log on the internet.
Yeah.
Like AD Combat.
AD Combat, exactly.
Yeah, right? Be like, who's this Alberto Crane guy? King of the Cage. Oh, shit. Yeah, he's repping New Mexico hard and jiu-jitsu. So I knew of you from a very, very young age. I mean, that's early 2000s as well, right?
Yeah, underground, right? Then mixedmartialarts.com.
Yeah, which since you brought it up, and I'm glad you did, interestingly enough, and another kind of surreal moment for me is recently being able to do a deal with the boys to bring them into the Alta family. And that acquisition was a big one for us. And to have grown up on those message boards, I still have my profile from like 2002 on there.
That was the place. That was the place where you got all your info.
Yep.
Kind of the community. Even you don't know who they were, but you knew who they were.
Yeah, some really crazy SOBs on there, and there still are. I've recently, since we did the deal, I've jumped back in and become part of the community again, and it's still a really hardcore group. And when you look back at the whole legacy of that, Dana White, Joe Rogan still have accounts. They haven't been on in a minute, but they were on there all the time. I mean, fights were made on that platform.
Terry Troubleclock, King of the Cage, everybody was on there.
Yeah.
Everybody was on there.
Two guys start talking trash to each other. Next thing you know, you can make a fight. Yeah, whether it's in the UFC, King of the Cage. I mean, we used to we would do like a heat check, so to speak. I would like throw out matchups on there and see what people thought, right? And if it was hot, if the response was good, you're like, all right, yeah, that feels right. We should put that fight on. But it was a great place for us to gather and grow,
to test,
and then social media hit and everything, right? The world changed and our sport changed and the platform changed. But then there's still a really, really hardcore group of guys that I really appreciate over there. They're pretty rowdy. I don't think they would. And that's the beauty of the forum is we keep it real. Mm-hmm. There's very little filter there. Like, just don't be disrespectful. Don't, but man, speak your mind. And you can't really do that on too many platforms these days, but we take pride in the fact we're trying to maintain the original integrity of the site and the forum and what it's all about, and just express yourself, do your thing, but don't, there's just certain places you shouldn't go to, but for the most part, the boys understand the boundaries and are talking about our sport.
Yeah, reconnected back to the roots.
Yeah,
the Alta. You guys acquired the underground, right? The mixed martial arts.
.com. Yep. So that's part of our platform, and the goal again is to create just a really big global community all around martial arts. We want the best coaches like yourself. I'm so grateful to have you as part of the family, but we want the best coaches, all the top fighters, just sharing love and appreciation for the sport. But what makes us different is our emphasis isn't just it's on training. And I think we're one of the few companies out there that's really trying to globally create a community around training. Mm-hmm. You look at what the UFC is doing and other fight promotions, their main core focus is to, sell you a pay-per-view, sell you a ticket.
Right.
And they're putting on obviously amazing fights and helping really, they're primarily responsible for growing this thing, right? Putting on these amazing fights all over the world. But our goal is to turn all that fandom and appreciation for the sport as a viewer into training. So turn you from a fan into an actual participant, let you know that you can do that too. You can train, you can even fight if you want, but just go train. Get yourself in a gym, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, whatever it may be. Just train martial arts. It's a really good thing for you. So that's our goal and that's our mission. And I think that's what separates Alta from a lot of other companies out there, is that our focus is to get you into a gym, not to sell you, we're not an energy drink company or a CBD company or,
this way of life, right?
Our product is martial arts. So
kind of your background with martial arts and being a fan and just your passion and being able to do it, right? Got your black belt, was it last year? 2 years ago?
A few years ago, about 3 years ago. I actually just saw my sensei. Yeah, it took me 20 years on and off. Everyone has their different journey.
Sure.
Not everyone can be BJ Penn and get it in 3.5 years, or Orlando, get it like super fast like that. But, 20 years, got there, proud of it, and try to operate life like that, business and different, different areas of my life with that mindset. And then that's what we're trying to teach.
That's it. Yeah,
is the martial arts mindset, the whole fight mentality. But, yeah, we're proud of that deal. Again, it's to help us grow this global community. We recently were listed on the New York Stock Exchange.
Right.
It was a nice little moment for us, a nice milestone to reach, and I think it validates the business. So now there's really two companies. There's two MMA companies on the stock exchange. It's obviously the UFC.
Right.
And then there's us. So I think we're in pretty good company, and we obviously have a long way to go to even come close to who they are and what they're doing. But we're just a scrappy little startup that loves martial arts, and we're going to try and share it with the world.
Yeah, I loved watching you were with Robert Kavanagh, right?
John
Kavanagh, sorry, John Kavanagh, to Ariel Hawani's show. And I think it was the time that you guys were going to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange, right? Around that time?
Yeah, that was a fun week. It was just, I want to say, about 3 weeks ago.
Wow. It's crazy.
Yeah, we were in New York, and we got a chance to go on Ariel's show. He's an old friend, and he's always supported John and I.
Yeah.
And so it
was Robert. I have a friend, Robert.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Right? He's a real person at least, right? Yeah. So shout out to Robert Kavanagh, the homie, and
worked with him for years.
And John is a co-founder of the company, and really leading our efforts in Europe. It was a fun week. We're also there with Nick Langton, our CEO, and I have to tell this quick story. So Nick and John are the co-founders, and Nick is a Harvard-educated investment banker.
Oh, okay.
And several years ago, he actually did the program.
At
40 years old, he did the program, and he fought, and it changed his life so profoundly that he quit his job as an investment banker, making really good money, to start this company, and share what that experience he had with the world, like, changed my life. It can change yours too. So we always joke that he might have regretted that, because this has been so hard, right? To start a company like that. And so reaching that milestone of getting on the New York Stock Exchange, being with those two guys that week was special, because when they approached me to join their company 3 years ago, when I was still at Bellator, I was looking for something different. A change, and John, I knew. I had worked with John in the business, and I respected him a lot and liked him. So I thought, okay, if John's in, then I'm in. But I'm curious about this other guy, this Aussie guy, Nick. And then when he told me his story, I'm like, oh, you did it, and you fought, and we were talking about that whole experience. I'm like, these are the kind of guys that I want to be in the trenches with. These are the guys that I want to be grinding with, and yeah, that was a special week in New York. We got listed. Still got a long way to go. It's a great milestone, but it's almost like you work so hard to get to a certain point, only to realize, like, you're kind of starting over again, right? Oh man, it's just beginning. Yeah,
it was cool to see the ticker symbol be MMA.
Yeah. Yes, that is.
I heard that on the show. I was like, oh, that's cool.
I don't even know how that happened, man. When people find that out, like, I'm glad that you recognized it. People in the industry, like the banker, like if you know the market, and you're like, I think you would really appreciate that and understand how difficult. I mean, it's not like we did any work to get it. I should say how lucky we are, not how difficult. I guess the martial arts gods were smiling on us that day and blessed us with it, because when people hear that story and they understand the market, they're like, how the hell did you get that? It's almost like it was meant to be.
Love it.
Yeah. So we're on this mission, man, and we're excited to have great partners like you, and we're just gonna try and get people on the mat one way or another.
What are some of the things that you guys offer? We were talking about videos and content, and what are some of the things that Alta's working on or is offering?
Yeah, we are. We're trying to be as diverse as possible. Look, there's no better way to learn than be on the mat,
right?
Than to get on the mat, but we also understand that there's other ways to learn and grow to kind of help supplement that and help support it. And some people might need to consume some content first in order to be comfortable to go train, right? So, and what I'm getting at is that we want to really build out. At our core, we're a tech company, and we want to really build out a really great online community where fans can interact watch great instructionals. We have a great series coming out with Rafael Cordero, kind of intro to Muay Thai, that shoot box style. We just filmed something really great with DC and intro to youth wrestling. So I think that's what's interesting.
Cormier, wow.
Yep. So DC's youth wrestling series. So we shot two separate modules with him. One was intro to youth wrestling so really focusing on the kids there with that one, and then the other one was wrestling for MMA, which he was pretty decent at, right? So we have those two legends contributing and sharing their knowledge with us. That's coming out soon. We have the forum. So all of a sudden, it becomes a pretty cool place to hang out, right? This kind of Train Alta world. And then we can also help you find a gym, help you find a program, or just help you find a gym just to train if maybe you're not ready to do the 20-week training camp, the Warrior program. Just get on the mat. That's all we want to encourage. It's not a situation where you have to do the program. You have to fight. No, you don't. Just take a class. Go try jiu-jitsu. Go try kickboxing, and maybe one day you'll be ready to take on that challenge. Maybe you're not ready to do any of that. Watch a couple videos, right? Get comfortable with it. Learn a little bit. Yeah. Talk to some people on the forum, go pick their brain, see how they're doing. So as you can see, all of a sudden, all these things start to connect.
That's it.
And then you have a community that covers a lot of different really great areas, and all centered around learning martial arts.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. What are some of the guys you have involved in the U.S.?
Some of the gyms?
Gyms, yeah.
Yeah. I just came down from the Bay Area, and I think that's where I lived there for 9 years when I was working for StrikeForce and Bellator, very rooted up there. And that's kind of where the program to me really from the sense of I think where we can grow. Actually, I think the whole state of California, really, even Southern California, I think California is a very interesting place for the program. So we're heavily rooted here in California. In the Bay Area, some of the guys that we work with, Combat Sports Academy, El Nino with Gilbert Melendez, Daniel Cormier Wrestling, Smash Gyms. There's several gyms over there. Heroes Martial Arts with Gumby. Was just talking to him last night. Yeah. I mean, he's an old school guy that loves what the program stands for and what we stand for. So Bay Area, we have a really strong presence because of my time up there, and down here with you, Systems Training Center, several other gyms. 10th Planet San Diego. Like we're it's easiest for me to connect with guys that I've worked with and have relationships with, but I'm always looking. I'm always like, oh, who's this guy? What are they up to? And I start looking up their bios and seeing what they're about. So we reach out to a lot of new gyms too as well. But it was easiest for me to pick up the phone and connect with people like yourself and
old school style, right?
Pretty much, man. I'm an old school guy, and so it was great to tap into those relationships and to work with them again. Like, this is so fun, man, for me to come and visit my friends and connect and talk about martial arts. I mean, there's nothing else I would rather be doing for work, to be honest. It doesn't even feel like work, actually. Like, we're just hanging out. And so Bay Area, Texas, I think, is an interesting area for us to get going in. Las Vegas.
Texas has been growing a lot, right? In all kinds of facets. But jiu-jitsu, I've seen jiu-jitsu growing so much in Texas lately. Yes.
I actually live in Texas now. So I moved from California to Dallas, and I'm seeing just tremendous opportunity there to grow. So I think Texas is going to be a solid market for us. We're in Las Vegas with Extreme Couture, one of the top gyms in the world. So I think what's really cool is we have these great gym partners that have some of the top fighters in the world fighting out of there, right? Like, it's really cool to see that gyms that big, regardless of who's there, they embrace this. Yeah. That they want everyday people. Like, it's not just for pro fighters, because when you really think about it, to me, this is the coolest thing is when you look, starting from our leadership team, John Kavanagh, SBG Dublin, him and Conor, it doesn't get bigger than that, right? Conor is also a part of our company. He posted very recently after we listed.
He was on the show too, right? Yeah. He made an appearance.
Yeah, and he posted after we listed that he was a proud investor, and we're excited about that. But it's Conor, like, trying to get average everyday people to train. Daniel Cormier, the guys at Extreme Couture are behind us. You're behind us. City Kickboxing in Auckland, New Zealand, Eugene Berriman, the coach of Volk and Israel Adesanya, like they love martial arts so much, and they have this deep understanding that you and I talk about all the time, that it's not just for, really great fighters to go win UFC titles. This is for average everyday people as well. So to me, that is like such a powerful, beautiful thing, that you can talk to these amazing fighters and coaches, and they love having beginners and people walk off the street, come into the gym. They love that. It's just as important to them as it is to train a world champion. Like, I'm not exaggerating.
It's true. It's true.
Like, you feel that fulfillment, right? Like, you could be at a tournament, at a fight, and your student could get the win. But then you can also, I would imagine, have somebody write you a letter or pull you aside and say, hey, I didn't win anything, but, you saved my life in some way, right? Like that's amazing.
That's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's next for, we talked a little bit about for Alta, like what's in the works? What are you planning on? 1 year, 2 years, 5 years? What would you like to see?
We would, we are in the process of continuing to build out our tech platform, going back to that this kind of mission of getting everyone on the mats. Well, how do you do that, right? Like, what's the most effective, powerful way to scale that? It's all through tech. So I'm out here with James Fleet, our CTO, who's sitting over there, and shout out James Fleety. And it's really, how do we fight this fight, so to speak? It's through tech.
Right,
so we're continuing to build out our tech stack.
Data
yes, exactly. You know the game. Yeah, you know the game. So it's fascinating for me to learn all this stuff. But yeah, it's continuing to build out our tech, find new and innovative ways to reach people, to get them on the mat. The days of just, it's a whole new strategy, a whole new ball game, as you know, right? Like, running a business now, getting new members is very difficult. So we want to jump in and help gyms like yours get more members through tech, through education, again, with the instructionals, pushing people to train. So it's just this really great combination of different things. But I think tech is how we lead the way. So the more we build out, and I've learned so much, and I can start dropping some really fancy educated words with you on that. I'll spare you and your listeners, but just know that that's the emphasis. That's how we're really going to grow. It's on the tech side under Fleety's leadership, and really for me, it's just hitting the road, going out and meeting all the great martial artists and coaches out there and gym owners, and trying to connect with as many as possible. I think if we continue to do that, and we continue to invest in tech, and try to be as innovative as possible, I think that's so it's a good mix of old school and new school, right?
Right.
We got the really sharp tech minds working on that, and then you got some old school guys like myself, just pounding the pavement, shaking hands, getting on the mat when we can, and just reaching out to as many people as possible.
Connecting the two worlds.
Yeah, because I think you can't just go. Hey, like we said, we're old school guys, man. I have to do the visits, and every now and then you do utilize the social media and the internet to connect. But I eventually want to just visit as many people as we can and just share what we're doing. So it's this old school grassroots approach mixed in with this new tech strategy. But the goal is to be, to be the voice of what will be 65,000 martial arts gyms in the next 3 to 5 years, Alberto. Isn't that crazy? There's over 45,000 now. Now that includes everything. That includes, kids taekwondo, kids karate, all the way up to, gyms like, and academies like Legacy. But there's going to be 65,000 of them here shortly. That is a staggering number just in America alone. And I think the issue there, or the challenge there, it's great that martial arts is so popular now, but there's not one unifying voice, if that makes sense. There's not like one group or one entity trying to organize it all. And that's what we want to do. And I think what if we can accomplish that, I think what that's going to do is make it easier for people to access training, which will help us all grow together. Because right now we're just kind of independent, right? Yeah. Everyone's just kind of doing their own thing, but it's not as organized or structured. And our goal is to do that again, create one big community.
Love it.
And it'll be easier to find us. It'll be easier to find training, easier to find gyms. So that's kind of the vision, is if we can organize this group of amazing tribes, right? If that makes sense. So you have all these great tribes. If we can organize them, and that will make it easier to access them and to reach them. So yeah, that's kind of the goal. Hopefully that made sense.
Yeah, it does. I love it. Love everything you guys are doing. Love what you're about. Love everything that Alta's about. Yeah, really, you guys are connecting the underground and the mixedmartialarts.com, the forums, and just the platforms of learning, and then also just connecting with the right people, right? That have the same kind of vision.
Yes, I'm really glad that you see it. Sometimes when you're so heavy into it, it makes total sense to you, and you're always wondering if other people see it as well. And I think we're starting to educate people. But man, I haven't had to tell you much. You've seen it, so to me, that's very validating. Really makes me feel like we're on the right track. So yeah,
right.
Thank
you. You guys are coming with the tech and those kinds of things.
Yeah,
and connecting us all. I know it's a lot of work, and there's a lot of work to do, right? But appreciate all the stuff you guys are doing.
Well, we appreciate what you're doing. At the end of the day, it's without you, there's no platform for us. Like what we're trying to do is share all the amazing things you're doing in your gym, in your community, right? With all you, how many academies now do you have?
We have 4 here in LA.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like you are a very big part of the community. You're changing lives. You have kids in here. You have adults in here, and I think the world needs to see this, right? To see what can be possible when you have this. Like, can you imagine if more people trained? I know it sounds like super cliche, but the world would probably be a better place. Like, it's a pretty dark place right now. We feel like
that's preaching to the choir, right? That's the solution, right? Do martial arts, train martial arts, and that's the solution for the problems.
I think so. I think you're the president, I'll be the vice president. Right. I think we just started a campaign here. Crane Chou, can we jump in yet? Crane Chou 24. Maybe we have to wait till 2028. But I mean, just think about that. If our platform was, hey man, we're gonna solve all the problems with martial arts. That's where it starts, and then we'll take it from there. But no, I'm grateful to have your support, to have your friendship. I'm stoked that you recognize and see what we're all about, and I'm excited for the future, man, and to have you a part of it.
Thank you, brother. How can people find Train Alta and yourself?
Trainalta.com, at Train Alta on Instagram. Myself, just go to Train Alta. You don't need to follow me or anything, but in case you're curious, it's at Rich_Chou, and yeah, I'm just out there trying to live a positive, meaningful life, driven by martial arts and family, which I see you are as well.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's like this really, it's a simple but fulfilling journey, isn't it?
Yeah, I hope it never ends.
Yeah, I see you with the kids, wrestling now, jiu-jitsu, traveling, teaching tac fit and jiu-jitsu. Like that's what it's all about, man.
Yeah.
And we're trying to be the counterpart to that, if that makes sense.
It does. It does.
So
totally makes sense.
Yeah, let's keep this going.
That's it. Let's go.
Yeah. Awesome.